Hello everybody, welcome to the Myprotein Labs event. This is going to be one of the most special weekends. It's Myprotein's biggest event they have ever done. So if you don't know who Mark is, maybe just give yourself a little bit of an introduction.
I'm Mark Billy Billingham. I'm probably best known for being on a TV show called SAS WDWs. Is there anybody that not seen that? Get a life. Just joking, mate. You're bigger than me. But Fox is here. Anyway, yeah, so I'm on a TV show called SAS WDWs. It's a DS. I've been doing that for 5 or 6 years. But prior to that, I actually spent 20 plus years in the SAS, and I was a DS, and I've done many operations and that sort of stuff. What else do you need to know about me? I was born in the West Midlands as a naughty little kid who was going rogue, who ended up in the army, which saved my life, to be honest. I went to the parachute regiment, did 9 years with them, got decorated in the parachute regiment, then went on to the SAS, and I got decorated twice by the Queen with the SAS. Had a wonderful career, crazy career, did everything I wanted to do as a soldier, everything from capturing people indicted for war crimes to hostage release. I had a wonderful career, and then into the TV world, and that's where I'm best known for. And I do a massive amount of stuff for charity. That's kind of my mainstay at the moment.
So you've obviously done a lot of stuff in the SAS, which involved a lot of mental strength and physical strength. What do you do now to challenge yourself post that part of your career, both physically and mentally?
Fitness to me is everything. It's a foundation to everything. So whenever I'm sort of in a dark space or feel a bit stressed, I get out and I do some sort of fitness, whether that's endurance or cardio. It doesn't matter. But that's my sort of decompression. I'm always looking for another challenge, so I'm always focused on something. Right now, or soon, hopefully, I'm going to try and break a world record doing some parachuting jump. So I've always got a goal to aim for. So that keeps me focused and gives me drive, And also, in any time when I'm sort of in a black space or feel a little bit down, I always say to myself, it's all a passage of time. I can sit and mope and drag it out, or just get off onto my feet, self-motivation, and go and do something. And that's basically what I do.
So what does your week to week currently look like at the moment then, from like a Monday to Sunday in a training week?
I try to train every day. If I don't train in the mornings, I'm a miserable sod. Yeah. I generally get up about 5-6:30, and I'll either go for a run, or I'll do endurance, or I'll do some sort of circuit training, no matter where I am. That's the start of my day. I've got a real old-fashioned sort of regime. I get up in the morning, I don't even have a wash. I get into my PT kit and I go and train. I have no music, no water, no food, I just go. And I'll train for about an hour and a half.
So, around the film and the SAS show as well then, obviously for the candidate it's very physically demanding and taxing. What is that like for you from a physical perspective? Do you have to do a lot of training pre-filming for that?
Yeah, good question, yeah. I mean, we have to be on top of our game,
yeah.
So everything's led by example. I mean, what you see on the show, you only see 40 minutes of their day.
Yeah.
Their day is about 17-18 hours a day. And a lot of that is physical. So if they're doing 18 hours, we're doing 19 hours. Because we're getting prepared, ready for the next day and all the rest of it. So I have to stay on top of my game. Hence the reason, I do train every day. And building up to a show, we've just finished a show in Jordan. So at the minute I'm sort of on my decompression. My knees are killing me, my back's killing me. I'm kind of taking a bit of a rest, just doing light training. But as of next week, I'll go back into my training regime, which will be full on 2 or 3 times a day. And I'll break it up, endurance, circuit training, cardio, all that sort of stuff, and I'll make sure that I keep an happy balance of all-round fitness. So that's what I'll be doing very soon, building up to. So roughly about a month before we go out, that'll be my total build-up to starting the show. But we have to be on top of it, because I'm 57 years old, I'm still running with 22-year-olds, and you've got to lead by example.
Keep them on their toes.
But it's all in here.
With regards to mindset, in terms of the SAS, so the candidates and yourself going through that in general, I can't even imagine some of the obstacles mentally that you had to go through. Do you have any sort of tactics or things that you learned along the way when you just didn't think you could carry on?
No, I mean, any obstacle in front of me, I'll tackle it.
Yeah.
I'll think about it and go, you know what, it's not impossible. There's got to be a way to do it. And I'm not afraid of failing and falling on my ass. That's the problem. Most people won't go at a challenge because they're scared of not reaching that goal. there's millions of goals I haven't reached. But, you know, by at least trying, I've been in a better position than when I started. So no matter what is off there, I'll look at it and think, try and work a way I can do it and go at it. And not, you know, but the big thing is not being afraid to not achieve it right away, but don't give up. Keep going until you achieve what you want, or at least get to a better position than where you were.
We often talk about things within health and fitness about being proactive or physical health. The one thing that always plays on my mind, especially for someone who's been in the SAS, there's obviously a lot of things that you can and can't talk about, and I'm guessing you have to keep to yourself and bottle up. What kind of things do you do to be proactive with your mental health? I mean, I'm guessing now compared to how it was many years ago, there's a lot more things that you can now disclose and talk about and open up about, and that's something that especially as men a long time ago we suppressed with. I'm guessing with that particular job role as well, it was something that was even more prevalent.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're in a world now. Back in the day, when I was in the regiment, everything was, you know, there weren't communications. We were totally sort of blocked away from everything, isolated, and kept everything under wraps. Nowadays, I mean, with social media, everybody's accountable. Not to say we weren't accountable, we were. But now you can't hide what you're doing where you are. So we have a platform now to be able to speak about it. Obviously, we don't speak about the operational side of stuff because, you know, operations are still going on. You don't put anybody's life in danger. But we're allowed to speak about everything. A lot of stuff that we have done is out in the media. As long as stuff's out in the media, you can speak about it. So, you know, we do speak about it. I've written books that can talk about certain things, but it's only stuff that is already out there, you know, so...
So what type of things do you do at the moment then to stay proactive with your own mental health?
I mean, I've become an author, so I look at sort of, I'm writing books, so I look at the journey that I've taken. It gives you a chance to sort of capture all the memories from before and then add it into a story. So that keeps me busy mentally, gives me a challenge to, you know, capture all this stuff that I'm doing. I don't let anything bother me. If no matter what the situation is around me, I'll just say to myself, you know what, this is a passage in time, I'll get through it. It might be uncomfortable, but I always say to myself, as long as I attack and go forward, I'll be alright. And that's what keeps me mentally sort of stable.
One of the things that I found super interesting, and I don't know whether people know this as well, was the work that you did as a bodyguard as well. Talk us through some of the people that you did that with and some of the experiences and what kind of challenges that posed to you.
Yeah, I believe it or not, one of the first people that I bodyguard was Haldon.
Was it?
Yeah, which was hilarious. So you can imagine, right? But the thing is, again, it's all about, you talk about psychological.
Yeah.
So if you imagine, right, I go meet Haldon down here in London, in fact. So I walk into the room, and he's huge. And he looks at me and he's like, I'm small, spindly, but there must be something about this bloke. He's either a complete lunatic or he's hard as nails. He doesn't know either, does he? So he's looking at me and I'm very confident, I'm going, right, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. And he's more scared of like challenging me in case I put him on his ass. And embarrass him with his look. But so he was one of the first people that I looked at. It's all about confidence, knowing what you're doing. And the thing with bodyguarding is, it's not about an image. Where most people think you've got to be 6'6", ripped. Not at all. It's about what's in your mind. It's about understanding what the threats are, understanding what you've got to do, and bouncing around the problem. Now, don't get me wrong, if I had to roll around the floor with somebody, I can do all right.
Yeah.
I should be able to. But if I'm rolling around the floor with somebody, that means my client is not being taken care of. So it's about what's in your mind. So the people I looked after was, start with him, Hulk Hogan. Then I looked after a singer called DMX.
Yes.
Anybody know him? He's the only one I didn't have a good time with. I threw him in a taxi and says, do the job yourself, walked off. Tom Cruise. Russell Crowe, Michael Caine, Brad and Angelina, Kate Moss, yeah. So I looked after all these people. I mean, it was a great time, it was hard work, but like I say, it's not about an image, it's what's in your mind, and that's what got me the jobs, being able to do what they needed me to do, which is provide security so they could have their life. But it's not about an image, it's not about looking tough and standing there with shades on, because it's just not about that. It's about thinking on your feet, getting the work done, getting people safer through their daily life.
How did you make that transition then from the SAS into that field of work and looking after that calibre of people?
the way that came about, in the regiment, one of the courses that we do, everybody in the regiment does a bodyguard course. You know, it's quite a key sort of skill that we do, because you're doing it in hostile environments with generals and politicians, that sort of stuff. So we were already bodyguard training. When I was about to leave, I didn't know really what I wanted to do, and I got offered a little bit of security work. So I did a bit of moonlighting, and from there, I went out there and enjoyed it. And what I found was, I already had all the skill sets I needed to be a bodyguard. It was just about toning it down to the level of sort of client that I had at the time, which celebrities. So it went from, instead of people trying to shoot at me to kill me, it was people shooting at me with a camera. And most of their sort of lifestyle was about avoiding unwanted paparazzi and all that sort of stuff. So it was just about keying down the skill set that I already had for that level to protect these people.
So you just spoke about then the transition in from being shot at with a rifle or a gun to being shot at with a camera. How did you find that transition in your career from going to the other side of the lens, from living a very secret life?
That was a very difficult time for me. I was leaving the regiment, I needed a job, and the first job I got offered was with Brad and Angelina as their head of security for their bodyguard. So you can imagine, I've gone from this world of denying who I was, never being on camera, to this, and I had to make that transition. So that was the hardest thing for me, was now being on magazines and all this, and still denying what I was doing. But of course, once you're in the public eye, people are questioning, and there's articles, and we have this fan base that are following around. So that was really awkward. It took me a long time to sort of get used to that.
So did you feel like there was a bit of a backlash, or were you fearful of other people's opinions and criticisms from those people that you'd worked with previously in the SAS, because you'd moved into this new period in your career?
Yeah, I mean, even today I still, wonder what people are thinking about it. When I'm back in Hereford, I speak to the lads, and ask them what, and 99% of people like it. You always have the older generation or people who go, oh, you shouldn't probably do that. But I mean, you've got to work, you've got to have a job, and I just had to step straight into the limelight. So as I've gone through, being that side of the camera, protecting people, to this side of the camera, it's become, I've enjoyed it now.
Yeah.
It gives me a platform to do what I want to do, so I've embraced it. I do still think about what people say, and I'm very wary of, on interviews, what I talk about, because you're always getting asked questions about operational stuff, and even from the military and from a security point of view with celebrities. So I have to keep checking myself on what I'm talking about, what I'm sort of giving out as information.
How do you or don't you deal with criticism then? Because I'm sure a lot of people in the room, whether it's to do with personal training or fitness or developing their career, will come into a point where they'll have to deal with criticism. How do you tend to deal with it?
I embrace it. Because there's a reason why people are telling you. You always get some people who just, telling you negative stuff because they're negative people. But I'll listen to what people say, and I'll analyse them. You know what, actually, you've got a point there. So I take criticism pretty well. Yeah, and you should do.
What we'll do now is we'll open up the floor to a couple of questions to Mark.
And you're obviously an ex-military guy, right? Very difficult, because and I know, the military is very, very disciplined. And if we say we're going to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're there at 5 to 6. Civil life, you'd be lucky if they were there at 5 to 12. So that discipline breakdown used to drive me mad. Now it is what it is. And the other thing is, what you don't realise leaving, and you'll probably notice this as well, when I left the military, you don't realise actually how much it's done for you. That family really takes care of you. And I remember I just left, and I walked into the dentist. I'd gone through a divorce, I was in a real bad state, living downtown, didn't know how to pay my bills because all that was done for me. And I wanted to go to the dentist. I walk into the dentist, and the lady goes, you've got to register. And I went, what do you mean register? I want to see a dentist. She says, you have to register. I went, okay. So I registered. Then I said, I'll see the dentist now. She went, no, this was in January. I've got an appointment for you on the 1st of March. I went, what are you talking about? So that the way the civilian system works, I was just not ready for it. And I really realised how much the military did for me. So it took a while. I'm still struggling with it, to be honest. But the biggest letdown was people. Your mates in the army, people in the army will be there when they say they're going to be there, and they'll do what they do. Generally, they'll do what they say they'll do. The civil street, you're like, no chance. You have to get them in a headlock. Oh, good question. Who's impressed me the most? There's a few actually. They've all got different reasons why. But Anthea Turner, I don't know if you saw Anthea Turner. I mean, Anthea Turner, right? I think she should have got on the bus to Bake Off. She got on the wrong bus and turned up on WDWs. But I'll tell you what, she was awesome. You know, I think she was, I don't know, 58, 60 years old. And it was a mindset, which just proves, you know, 90% of what we do is mindset, in the fitness world as well. And she just never said no to anything. She just went at everything and we couldn't get rid of her. She was brilliant. Yeah, so probably Anthea.
How early can you suss people out on the programme? Do you know when they come on and they go through the initial stages?
I think I'm pretty good at, you know, if you line 10 people over the right, I can tell you probably who's going to be there at the end, generally. But there's always somebody that pulls you out of the locker. And I'll tell you what's happening right now is the smaller women that are coming on the show are just smashing. I mean, if you saw the last show, they were phenomenal. And it's absolutely their mindset. And there's no sort of compensation for gender, height, weight, nothing. Everybody does exactly the same. But it's just, they've just got that solid mindset of just push through the pain. But if you say in your mind you're going to do something, when people say if you put your mind to it, you can do anything, that's bullshit. You can't. But you can definitely do it better than not trying.
Yeah.
And as long as you accept it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to hurt a little bit, your body will follow it. You'll do it. And the women at the moment turning up with absolutely fantastic mindsets. Well, you know what? No matter what you throw at them, they're going to keep going. I'm 57 years old, right? And I think there's going to become a day, probably pretty soon, when I ain't going to be able to do what I want to do. So I'll just say to myself, this is going to hurt. I'll go out in the morning, I'm going to go, right, I'm going to run 10 miles. And I'll go for it. And I've got this thing always a little further. And it's like a devil and an angel inside my head. And as I'm reaching, I know I'm getting to 10 miles, I go, one more mile. But this side of my head's going, no, that's enough. This side of my head's going, no, one more mile. I'll go further. And the reason that my mindset gets me to where I want to do that extra mile is I know at some stage I ain't going to be able to do it. So while I can do it, it does hurt, I'm going to do it. And it's as simple as that. And everything I'm doing, when it's hurting, it is a passage in time. If I do it, the quicker I do it, the quicker it'll be finished. And it's a simple little thing like that, just saying, I can do it, I'm going to do it. Or at least I'm going to try and do it. It's very easy, you know, I get up in the morning, I'm like, I can't be asked. Monday morning blues, I don't want to do this. And what I tend to find, the more I feel not wanting to do something, I always end up, once I start, not wanting to stop. But it's just, I just keep saying it, I can do it, I'm going to do it. And it's, once you've done it, it just sets you up for the day, you think, wow, I feel I've achieved something. Yeah, if anybody's going on selection, as in the real selection or coming on the show selection, is don't overtrain. Keep yourself to a level of fitness, because on the show and on the real selection, they'll build you up to a point where you're ready to, pass the challenges you've got to pass. So a lot of people overtrain. They think, right, I've got to, they start putting a house on the back and running along with like 60, 70 pounds on the back. So you end up peaking before you get to the show, and then also, you start to drain, and once you start to drain, you ain't going to regain that energy you need to pass the test. So when I say keep yourself fit, do yoga, do yoga, do a bit of running. If you're going to run with weight, don't run with more than like 15 pounds. Right? Because all you're going to do is do yourself an injury. So train regular, but don't overtrain. And have it in your mind, this is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. And you'll do it. That's probably the best tip. The one tip I got when I went on SAS selection, because like everybody else, I want to know how I'm going to get through this. And a good friend said to me, he said, look, he goes, don't give up on your beer fitness. And I was like, what are you talking about? He says, well, when people come on selection, they try and change their whole life. And your body and your mind ain't used to it. They start eating lettuce and nothing else, and they start doing this, they start doing that. Don't. Be yourself, but believe in yourself. And what he meant by that, like, don't give up on your beer fitness. I like my beer. I like to go out and have a drink. And even on selection, the night before the fang dance, I went downtown in Brecon, had a few beers, and ended up in a fight. Ended up with bruised ribs. But that kept me going, saying, right, I didn't give up on my fitness. I'm still the same person, but I want to do this. So that's the best tip I can give you.
I think for some people, the change in habits, if they change things too much, it throws them off. We've got a friend called Harry, he runs for GB, he's a 100-metre runner, and every time before he races, he just goes for a Mackey's, because then he has flexibility in his routine of what he's doing, so he's always going to be able to find a McDonald's wherever he is, whereas some people are super rigid in routine and don't have any flexibility, then struggle mentally that they have to change routine before something comes up.
That's exactly what I was saying. Be yourself, stay yourself. But there are some things you do need to change. You have to change your training regime a little bit to compensate for what's coming next. You might have to change a few of your, eating habits or whatever it is, but don't all of a sudden become somebody that you're not. Because then you're already fighting a battle with your mind, and it's your mind that's going to get you to where you need to be. You don't need that extra worry and that extra obstacle. So just be who you are, relax into it, believe in yourself, and the other thing is, accept bad days. Accept when it doesn't go your way, but just don't give up. Yeah. Don't let that then become a mind problem to you. Going, well, I had a bad day today, I'm going to have a bad day tomorrow. Today's done, it's finished. Start the next day fresh and go again. And you'll start to gain and get to where you need to be.
Thanks for your time today, Mark. Really appreciate it. Can we get a massive round of applause, Mark?
Thank you.